Good evening, everyone. It is 7 o'clock, and we will call our meeting to order. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Evans, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Evans.
Present.
Mr. Henderson.
Present.
Ms. Iannetti.
Present.
Mr. Kessler. Present. Dr. Levinowitz.
Present.
Mrs. Sherpier. Mr. Sirota.
Present.
Mr. Wallach.
Present.
And Dr. Davis.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. Again, I'm going to welcome everyone to our December legislative meeting. This meeting, unlike committee meetings, is the formal business meeting for the district. At this time, during this meeting, items are voted upon by the entire board for approval. And I just think it's important to remind everyone that other than recommended routine items that appear for vote, all the other items have primarily been discussed and researched at our committee meetings. So again, this is the official business meeting of the board. At this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Young if she would come and give the Student Government Association report.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. With only 2 days left before the much-needed winter break, students are striving to come to a successful halt. But before the break, there's still much to celebrate and take part in. As much as the holidays are a time of giving, our UD students are doing just that. The Mini-thon donor drive had an exciting start last week, and many are participating to raise awareness for the cause of pediatric cancer. Our SGA also sold candygrams last week to thank our friends, peers, and teachers for all they have done this year. The Performing Arts Department successfully held an in-person concert 2 weeks ago, with the classic sound from the orchestra, captivating chorus, and the bold band all together coming to a finale of the combined groups. It was really a spectacle for the ears. The students will be able to listen in on this concert in person Wednesday for an in-school performance. Thank you to our teachers, Mrs. Herman, Mrs. Yang, Mr. Arnold, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Horn for all they have done to prepare and support our students. As a holiday gift, there's news that our natatorium is almost completely repaired. My fellow teammates of the swimming and diving team are stoked to come back from break to hopefully what is a ready-to-use pool. As we break for the holidays, we hope everyone has a safe and wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you. As always, we're always excited to hear all the things that are going on at the high school. And you, as you mentioned, everyone is excited about the natatorium. We are just as excited. So thank you so much for your report this evening. Dr. Yanni, can you please give us your superintendent's report?
Thank you, Dr. Davis. There are a couple things on the agenda tonight that did not go through committee, so I just want to bring those to the board's attention and to the community that may be listening at home. Our enrollment currently stands at 4,077 students, which is an increase of 135 students over this time last year. On the agenda tonight are the dates for extended school year. Each summer, students with IEPs are offered the opportunity, if they present with regression issues and recoupment issues, they are offered a spot in our extended school year program. While the planning will take place over the next couple of months, we're asking the board tonight to please approve the dates for ESY so that the planning can really start. In the personnel section of the agenda, you will see there's a request for increased rates for food service workers. Our food service workers work incredibly hard every day, as do all of our colleagues here in the district. We're looking to keep our rates not only competitive. We want to retain the talented staff we have, and we want to be able to effectively recruit new members to that team. There's also an MOU for nursing staff. By this time of the year, when we were planning for this school year, we were hoping that contact tracing would not still be something we needed to engage in. Unfortunately, as we all know, there's still a need for contact tracing. There is an MOU. The MOU does have an error on it. It lists the school years. So when we get to that section on the personnel agenda, I'll clarify what the board will be voting on. And there are a number of policies on tonight's agenda. We didn't have a policy committee meeting in December. The first readings reappear tonight just as a placeholder so that they stay on the agenda, and we'll review those for a second time at our policy committee meeting in early January. This evening, we're also asking the board to approve our revised health and safety plan. We've previously shared the revisions a number of times, but I just want to review them for everyone's edification. So in terms of masking, effective on January 3rd, 2022, universal masking will be required when we're in substantial or high transmission. When we move to moderate or low transmission and we stay there for 2 consecutive weeks, we will move to mask optional or mask recommended but not required. For visitors and volunteers during the school day are going to be permitted. They'll be permitted unless we're in high transmission. And there is one caveat to the health and safety plan when we get to that part of the agenda tonight, that the principals have the right to restrict the number of visitors and volunteers in buildings so that we can maintain appropriate distances in our classrooms. And everything in the health and safety plan, with the exception of transportation, pertains to the interior or the inside of all of our buildings. We're going to continue to make all of our decisions around masking and visitors by using community transmission. All of us have the ability to positively impact those numbers by masking, maintaining appropriate distancing, and obviously practicing proper hygiene. Tonight, the board is going to approve 2 retirements, but there are 3 folks that I would like to recognize. Jamie Forlini, who is an 8th grade social studies teacher, is soon leaving us after 37.5 years of service to our students, and we thank him for the years of dedicated service at Sandy Run. And we said to Jamie that we'll give him a few months off, but then we'll expect to see him back on the sub list before we know it. Sue Cheriano is an educational assistant who works with some of our students with some significant needs at our high school. She's been with the district for 8.5 years, and we'll miss her and her influence and her cheery disposition that we have with her always at the high school. And Percy Herder, who has been at Thomas Fitzwater for years. My first year, kids told me that he was the real boss of the building. It wasn't Mr. Alston. He is our OMT supervisor there. He is retiring after 28 years of service to the district, and we thank him for all of his years of service. In the superintendent's report and in the News from the Nest newsletter that will go out tomorrow, there will be information about our transition to some grade levels back to Fort Washington Elementary School. Our leadership team is confident that when we resume school on the week of January 3rd, we will be able to lay out a plan for the community. We will be getting a number of grade levels back at Fort Washington. As was mentioned by our student representative, we're in the final stages of prepping the natatorium for reopening. The water is being put in the pool, so the pool is being filled. Later on, during community input, there is a question, will the pool be open to the community? And I'll address that at a later time when we talk about lifeguards. And then in January, you can expect some updates on field work, because before you know it, we'll be in the spring season and we'll have spring sports all over the campus. We remain on track with the construction at Sandy Run Middle School. We're repeatedly told that we will have no trouble taking ownership of that building and having students in that building for the start of next school year. In January, late January, we're going to start some limited tours so that the community could see the progress being made over there. And obviously, that's all weather permitting. We will be announcing that information when we come back from winter break. And with that, I would like to say happy holidays to everyone, and I hope everyone has a restful and relaxing break.
Thank you, Dr. Yanni. At this time, we're up to our first community input for the evening. This is an opportunity for community input on action items and presentations included on this agenda only. If anyone would like to make comments, they can come to the mic now, and Ms. Evans will monitor the 4 minutes that are allotted for individual comments. Okay, seeing none, we'll move right along. Mr. Leckman, do you have any announcements or communications?
There are none this evening.
Okay, thank you. We have minutes from our November 22nd, 2021 legislative meeting. I would ask that someone move for those minutes to be approved.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sirota. Is there a second? Okay, thank you, was that Dr. Levinowitz? Thank you. Any questions on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you. Also included in the agenda are minutes from our committee meetings. We have the following minutes that were approved by the committees on November 3rd, the Education Committee, the November 3rd Policy Committee meeting, and also the November 17th Finance Committee. Those are for information only and are included in the agenda. Ms. Sherpier, can you please present the Education Committee curriculum recommendations?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Davis. The Education Committee did not meet in December, so we have a short list. And the enrollment report, Dr. Yanni already mentioned. And then we have 2 items, conferences and student activities. And I think I'd like to make a motion to approve both of them.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve both conferences and student activities. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ionity. Are there any questions on the motion?
There is actually a question about that. Is the conferences, a number of them are suggesting that they will be in person. If that changes, will this then come back up, or is the adjustment made and then is that addressed differently?
I anticipate that if any of them change their mode, the attendees will participate virtually, and we'll bring that back as an informational item. If there's no travel involved, the costs will be less, so we'll bring that back to the board.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Also, Ms. Sherpier, you have another
Yes, so that is the other item that is under the Education and Student Services recommendations, and Dr. Yanni already mentioned the extended school year, or ESY dates. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the dates for ESY to be June 27th to August 4th of 22.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ionity. Are there any questions on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Mr. Sirota, Finance Committee recommendations.
Thank you. We have 7 items on the agenda tonight for finance. All of these were discussed in detail last week at the Finance Committee, except for item B, which is our regular monthly payments item. I will move to approve all 7 items.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Henderson. Any questions on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you. That motion carries. Okay, next we have our personnel report. Dr. Levinowitz.
Okay, we have 3 items on the personnel tonight. I'll first, we'll have a second, and then I believe Dr. Yanni will then clarify item 2, I believe, item B. 3 items tonight: proposed changes to the food service rates and responsibility stipend, the MOU for the certified school nurses, and then our usual personnel report. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, who did the second? Mr. Sirota?
I would-
Okay,
I would like to point out that the years on the MOU need to be changed. They should say 2020, 2021, and 2021, 2022. All the other information on the MOU is correct.
I do have a question regarding the personnel report. Can we take that separately, if you can do A and B, and then we can do personnel?
Yep, that's fine. Mr. Sirota?
Do we need to?
Yes.
Okay, so that's, we're going to, everyone is going to be voting on just A and B, and then we'll do C. So it's been moved, we've had a second. Are there any additional questions on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the proposed changes to the food service rates and responsibility stipend and the MOU for the certified school nurse contact tracing, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that carries. And now, Dr. Levinowitz, if you can present the personnel report as a motion?
Yep, motion to approve the last item, personnel report.
I'll second that.
Okay, once again, we've had it moved and we have a second. Are there any questions on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay, thank you. Can you please state a reason for your abstention?
Certainly. I abstain, given that my wife is listed in the personnel report as one of the employees who's affected by a rate change. And so, to avoid any appearance of impropriety, I'm abstaining from the vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next we have our policy committee recommendations. Ms. Ionity.
Okay, Dr. Yanni mentioned this earlier, that we did not have a policy committee meeting this month.
My
These-
apologies. Did we vote on the personnel report? Did we take the vote? We did? Okay, sorry, I didn't catch that. Thank you.
It was 8 yes, 1 abstain.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Ionity.
I don't know if I can do it again. All right. So Dr. Yanni mentioned there was no policy meeting in December. We're going back to November here. These are all first readings. We're looking at policy 202, policy 215, policy 818, and policy 916.
Okay, for the first read, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sirota. Any questions? Going back to what we discussed in November. Okay, All those in favor of approving the first reading of the policies as read, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you. As was mentioned earlier, we do have our health and safety plan. Mr. Wallach, can you please present that?
Certainly. Thank you, Dr. Davis. We do have one item of other business, as you mentioned, and before I get to the formal presentation of the motion, I'd like to let Dr. Yanni make a further comment.
We're going to ask the board to approve the health and safety plan with 2 minor caveats. We'll add a statement that, with the exception of transportation, everything in the plan pertains to indoors. And also in the section about volunteers, we will add a statement that principals have the right to restrict the number of visitors into a classroom so that appropriate distancing can occur.
With those comments and with Dr. Yanni's introduction tonight and the presentation of the updated health and safety plan and a number of communication forms, I'll make a motion to approve the updated district health and safety plan.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Okay, thank you, Dr. Levinowitz. Are there any questions on the motion?
I have one, or maybe it's 2. Regarding those 2 caveats that Dr. Yanni just presented, that language, the transportation language is not in there because that's a statewide mandate, is that, or federal mandate maybe, is that correct?
There still is transportation language in the plan.
But I mean specifically that, that this applies. Oh, I see, you were saying indoors and transportation.
Yes.
Is your point, okay. And through other policy, do principals already have the ability to restrict visitors in their building for spacing reasons?
Not for spacing reasons. We'd like to have it in here just in the event that we would get a number of people coming into work in one space so that we could achieve appropriate distancing between students and staff and visitors.
Okay, it certainly seems like a good idea. Well, that issue hasn't come up because we haven't had visitors yet, right?
Right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any additional questions? Ms. Sherpier?
Yeah, I just want to clarify that should we be in low or moderate and then the numbers go up, we will then, what is the mechanism by which we will know that masking will be required again?
We're going to maintain our Tuesday updates, our UD Strong updates. We always share our COVID-19 data, so as long as COVID is still around, we'll still put out that information, even if it's only COVID updates.
And
Of course, I hope that that will not be necessary, but I just want to make clear that that is not requiring the 2 weeks of going in that direction.
Correct.
And just to be clear, the Tuesday is because that's when currently the county releases their data. Should the county change their data release schedule, will we, is it basically as soon as they announce that?
As soon as they, right. So it has been Tuesday because that gives them time on Monday to input all the data from the weekend. But if they change it to any other day, we'll be flexible and we'll report out on whatever day they decide. But it's been Tuesday for a little over a year now. So I think that's probably a comfortable assumption that it'll stay Tuesday.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Seeing no other questions, all those in favor of approving our district health and safety plan, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you. The liaison committee reports, some of them with the holidays haven't met, but they are included as an information item. And now, Mr. Diazio, can you please give the solicitor's report?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Davis. I have the Sunshine Act announcement for this evening. The board met in executive session prior to tonight's public meeting. The matters that were discussed in the executive session were matters of personnel. Those items were approved as part of the personnel report, and then also to receive information regarding a number of confidential student matters. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now we're at the second community input opportunity for the evening. Is there anyone that would like to provide comments? Seeing no one, we did have one comment that was submitted, and I'm going to ask Mr. Diazio to read that one.
Yes, thank you. The comment comes from Mark Saka from Fort Washington, and the comment reads, "I was very happy to see the proposed opening date for the natatorium. Can you please confirm if the pool will also be available for community groups starting on January 3rd?"
Okay, and that concludes the comments for the evening. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Yanni.
The pool will be open to community use, community groups, once lifeguards are secured. We, at this time, do not have lifeguards. It's not a function of not trying. Our HR director and our CFO will be meeting with an outside group to determine how to secure a number of lifeguards so that we can open the pool. If you're in tune with what's going on in terms of pools, the YMCA and Lifetime Fitness are both having difficulty securing lifeguards. We're hopeful that at least one or more of our community groups that use the pool will be able to help us out with lifeguards.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional comments from the board? Okay, seeing none. I just would like to make everyone aware of our upcoming meetings. We have an Education Committee meeting scheduled for Wednesday, January 5th at 6 p.m. We have a Policy Committee meeting also on Wednesday, January 5th. And did I say education the 6th?
Yes.
Okay, all of a sudden. Education and Policy Committee are on Wednesday, January 5th. Education at 6 and Policy at 7:15. We have a Finance Committee meeting on Wednesday, January 26th at 6 p.m. And then our legislative meeting will be held on Monday, January 31st at 7 p.m. Those are our meetings coming up in January. As always, we encourage our community to attend those meetings where you can be part of the discussion as we make decisions on moving things forward to this legislative meeting. Again, last opportunity. Anything else from the board? Okay, well, we only have a couple more days left in this week. I'm hoping that everyone gets some rest as we get ready for our winter break. I'm asking everyone to remember what it says in our health and safety plan so that people make great decisions so that we can keep our schools open, that we might have our children in school, and that we stay safe, but enjoy your families and also get some rest. So right now, the time is 7:28. This meeting is adjourned.